Before I get into today's video, I just wanted to obviously address what's been going on in the world. In light of recent events, I decided to not post on YouTube. I wanted to mute myself and amplify Black voices. I protested this past Friday in my city, but I know that that's not realistic for everyone. There's obviously safety concerns involved, and some of you guys just might be way too young, and that's okay. So in the description box below, I've posted a bunch of different links on how you guys can help support Black Lives Matter movement, as well as other resources where you guys can get educated. Black Lives Matter, it's not just a trend, it's not just an aesthetic, and we will get our justice.
A whole lot of ways I could get my cash up. Nigga, you ain't got no backup. You should back up.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. I've been doing this hairstyle a lot, I'm aware. I've really been trying my best to keep heat away from my hair, but with my natural hair, there's only so much I can do, so I always resort back to this hairstyle. Don't kill me for it, and I know it's looking a little bit janky today, but we're gonna work with it because I just can't be bothered to fix it or do anything else about it. But in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you guys the top 15 highest paid nursing professions. The numbers I'm gonna share with you guys are based off the US, and the salary will be in USD, but I'm hoping you guys can still get some sort of an idea, whether you're living in Canada, the UK, or any other place in the world, as to which nursing professions are paid the most, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be telling you guys obviously what the job position is, some responsibilities and things you would typically do, obviously the education that's required, as well as the salary, and just anything else that I personally think would be interesting or important to know about that job. Before I get into this video, I just got to throw in this quick little disclaimer. This isn't going to be obviously the case for every single career and every single profession in the nursing field. Obviously the pay can be more or less depending on where you live. There's so many different factors that go into how much you are paid, so this isn't going to be 100% accurate for everyone. Just wanted to put that out there. I did cross-reference a bunch of different sites as well, so I will put them in the description box below in case you want to go and investigate for yourself and you want to look into these careers a little bit more. The data that I'm using is from March 2020, so I'm hoping this is as accurate and as up to date as possible. So starting off with number 15, we have our health policy nurses. This is really great for somebody who's interested in public health, creating policies, implementing them, and then further evaluating them. A lot of the times nurses who are public health nurses will be working as consultants, which basically means that your salary potential is endless. You can also have a little bit more autonomy as to how much or how little you work, but typically they work around 40 hours a week, which will amount to around $34.50 an hour, but of course this can vary. This job has a really great growth outlook because public health and health policies are something that are basically always going to be reviewed and created. Obviously you're going to need your BSN, and then you're going to go and do a Master's of Science in Nursing program, and then once you get your master's, you're going to have to do a 10-week health policy residency at either a government office or any other organization where you choose to work. So this makes the average salary around $71,000 a year, but as I previously mentioned with the hourly wage, this can vary. There are so many different places where you can work as a health policy nurse. Obviously you can work in hospitals, infectious control, you can work in occupational health, case management, offices, so on and so forth. Number 14 is your critical care nurse. As we know, critical care nurses are very specialized in the sense because they need to deal with life and death and specific situations on the daily. Most of the time you will find these nurses working in like the ICU, which is your intensive care units at a hospital. However, that's not the only place where you'll find them working. So according to salary.com, in 2019, the average salary for a critical care nurse was around $78,000, making the hourly wage around $35. The range typically falls between $67,000 to $82,000 a year. However, a lot of critical care nurses do make upwards to $100,000 or even more. Like I've mentioned, it really just depends on your shift, your hospital, your location, etc., etc. There's not really any specific credentials that you need to be an intensive care critical care nurse. Honestly, you can just get your bachelor's of science in nursing and then go on. And then obviously certain hospitals can also provide extra training as well. I mean, you can still go and do your master's and specialize in something, but it's not mandatory for this position. But you do need to have specific training just to make sure that you are competent and that you know what you're doing and that you are confident in your skill set. Next, we have your informatics nurse, and an informatics nurse is something that I didn't even know existed, if I'm being honest with you guys, until I started looking at things for this video. But essentially, this is where nursing meets technology. And this is probably one of the more in-demand positions and professions in the nursing field because obviously with technology advancing advancing every single day. There's always going to be new implementation of medical programs and electronic medical records. So this type of nursing really integrates nursing with information technology and management and communication and all that stuff. So it's very, very interesting. Essentially what you are doing is promoting public health while implementing technologies into your day-to-day work. And I just think that's like amazing. That's so interesting to me. I didn't even know this existed before, but it's definitely an area of interest for me. So according to payscale.com, an average salary for a informatics nurse is around $79,000 a year. They typically work around 40 hours a week, making their hourly wage roughly $38. The American Medical Association predicts that there will be up to 70,000 nursing informatics needed or required over the next 5 years. So crazy, definitely interesting. In terms of schooling, this one is just a little bit different. So obviously you can get your Master's of Science in Nursing, but you can also get your Master's of Science in Informatics, information, whatever that may be. And then also you can get your Master's in Computer Science, which that's super interesting to me because with nursing, you don't just have to go do your Master's in Nursing, you can do it in so many different things. And in this case, this is a prime example of that. So the next job is a nurse educator. For a lot of people, sometimes they just want to go from patient care to education instead, and that's a very viable option. If you want to work with other nurses, maybe be an educator on your floor and train them, then this is definitely going to be a great job for you. So nurse educators on average earn about $81,000 a year. They typically work around 40 hours a week, making their hourly wage roughly $39. In terms of growth, there is actually a shortage of nurse educators, both at the undergraduate and at the graduate level. So this is obviously a position that would be fairly easy, I want to say, to get a job in. Again, I literally don't know. Like, I'm a second year nursing student and I'm just going off of what I'm reading from these websites. So in terms of education, you do need to hold at least a master's degree, but a lot of people go and get a doctoral degree as well. You can also get certifications and extra things like that depending on where you want to work, but the minimum is a master's degree. At number 11, we have our Gerontological nurse practitioner, and these nurses are those that work with the older population. According to payscale.com, these nurses on average make around $89,000 a year, but that is just for 1 year of experience. And again, with experience and seniority as well as other factors, your pay will most likely increase. Gerontological nurse practitioners work around 40 hours a week, making their hourly wage around $49. So there is obviously a high demand for this type of job as well, because the baby boomer generation is growing old now. They need people to help them out. They need people to take care of them, look after them. So if you like working with the older population, then you guys should definitely consider this job. And then in terms of schooling, so since this is a nurse practitioner position, you need to get your master's in that, and then you might need to get a certification of some sort in gerontology and just helping that population in general. At number 10, we have registered nurse first assist. This is also something that I've just recently learned about, so you know what, I'm educating myself, I'm educating you guys as I make this video. It's a win-win situation. So over here it says that a registered nurse first assist, also known as an RNFA, is a perioperative registered nurse that functions as a first assistant during surgical operations. The roles of an RNFA will vary depending on the institution and where you are working. The downside, I guess, to this is that larger hospitals that are like more academic based might not hire you as this because they need their residents and their fellows from medical school to work this position instead. So that's kind of like the only downside, I guess, to that. The average salary for a registered nurse first assist is around $97,000. However, the range does go from $82,000 to a little over $100,000. Obviously, it just depends. RNFAs typically work around 36 hours a week, making their hourly wage roughly $51. There are a lot of outpatient surgical centers opening all over the world, so obviously you can go and have more opportunities to become an RNFA, maybe not in the academic bigger hospitals, but in a lot of other clinics and outpatient areas. The requirements for this position are a little bit more. So first of all, you're going to need to have perioperative surgical experience. This type of experience is considered to be advanced training, which will build up on fundamentals that you already know in regards to surgical anatomy, procedures, and techniques. So you're going to need a bachelor's of science degree in nursing, so just your undergraduate degree, and you will also need to have around 2,000 hours working as an RNFA already, as well as an active RN license. Number 9, we have your family nurse practitioner. The family nurse practitioner is the closest role to a primary care physician. These nurse practitioners practitioners typically have the same or very close to functions and roles as a medical doctor would in hospitals and clinics and private practices. So their responsibilities include assessments, consultations, prescribing medications and treatments, and more. On average, family nurse practitioners earn a little bit over $98,000 a year. These nurse practitioners typically work around 40 hours a week, making roughly $48 hourly. But again, this is very general, and I want you guys to know that. So according to a website known as BLS, family nurse practitioner jobs are expected to grow 28% from 2018 to 2028. The great thing about family nurse practitioners is more or less they will always be in demand because there's so many different healthcare institutions that you can work at. And in the United States, you can actually open independent nurse practitioner run clinics as well. I'm not too sure about Canada. I'll do some research and then put it up on the screen. In terms of schooling, obviously you need to get your master's in nurse practitioner, and then obviously you need your family nurse practitioner board certified exam certification done as well. At number 8, we have nursing administrator, and a nursing administrator really works with HR functions, with management, and really just kind of like the backstage of nursing and a little bit more of the behind the scenes. So nursing administrators are part of medical and health managers, and these jobs are actually predicted to grow, and their demand is predicted to grow 23% from 2018 to 2028. Nursing administrators make roughly $100,000 a year, and they work around $40 a week, making their wage around $48 an hour. And in terms of education, usually a master's degree in healthcare administration is required, as well as licensing according to your province, your state, so on and so forth. Some nursing administrators might even have their MBA, which is your master's in business administration. At number 7, we have our pain management nurses. These really help patients post-op, and they work with patients who really do suffer from chronic pain and chronic pain related issues. They educate the patients on pain management, and they also work with their healthcare team to figure out what the patient has and treatments and things like that. So according to Indeed.com, pain management nurses make almost $102,000 a year. They typically work around 40 hours a week, making their hourly wage roughly $49. Pain management nurses can work in a variety of different facilities, so the demand for them is also high, and as well as the population continues to age, they're always going to be needing these pain management nurses. So you don't necessarily need to get any advanced degree to become a pain management nurse. I mean, obviously it helps, but sometimes they can even just accept you if you have enough years of experience working as a registered nurse, so they can combine your experience, and then you can do a couple certifications and combine those all to be a pain management nurse. At number 6, we have our neonatal intensive care nurse. If you love caring for babies and you have that really strong heart and you're not gonna break, because obviously in these types of units you can see some crazy things, then this might be the job for you. Especially for advanced nurses, the salary here can be very competitive, and it can also be fairly high as well, even just as a new grad nurse. So the average annual salary of a NICU nurse is a little bit over $102,000, but obviously those who have their BSN and more experience and other factors that contribute to that will have a higher salary. NICU nurses typically work around 34 to 36 hours a week, making their hourly pay roughly $54. And there's also a strong job outlook for neonatal intensive care unit nurses as well. So you can get this job as a registered nurse, but you can also get it as a neonatal nurse practitioner if you choose to further your education. Obviously, if you have an advanced degree, your salary is going to be relatively higher as well. So we're getting down to the top 5 highest paid nursing professions. What do you guys think is going to be the number 1? Comment down below. This is going to be interesting. At number 5, we have your certified nurse midwife. If you're an RN, you love obstetrics. I'm definitely not saying that right, but if you like that, if you're into labor and delivery, prenatal care, all that good stuff, then this might be something that interests you and might be a profession in the nursing field that you might want to pursue. Mostly you'll work in like offices, clinics, OBGYN related places, and you can even open your own private practices depending on where you live, your state, your province, your country, all that. Certified nurse midwives make a little bit over $103,000 a year. They work around $40 an hour, making their hourly wage roughly $50. To become a certified midwife, at least in the US, you need to do a certification program. However, I think in Canada you might need to do masters or go to like a separate college for that. I'm not really sure. In terms of the job outlook in the job market related to certified nurse midwives, it is projected to grow around 16% during 2018 to 2028. So essentially in the next 8 years, we will really see the biggest growth happening. So at number 4, we have our psychiatric nurse practitioners. If you're like me and you're really into mental health and mental illness, illness and all that stuff, then this might be an area of interest for you. You get to work with patients, you get to talk to them through different mental illnesses, educate them, work with them, and I feel like it can be really, really eye-opening. You can also work with patients who suffer with substance abuse issues as well. So psychiatric nurse practitioners make around $106,000 a year. They typically work around 40 hours a week, and their hourly wage is a little bit over $50. Obviously, since this is a nurse practitioner position, you do need to obtain your Master's of Science in Nurse Practitioner, I think that's what it's called. And then you also need to get further licensing specific to psychiatric nursing depending on your state and where you're living and whatever rules that you have implemented in your region. At number 3, we have our clinical nurse specialist, also known as your CNS. And this is really for those who want to specialize, so you'll be able to diagnose and treat various conditions. You'll also be looked at pretty much an expert on your healthcare floor and within your healthcare team. You can also even specialize in a specific illness, but essentially you're going to be involved in research and just really bettering the whole healthcare provided in the hospital. So in terms of like growth outlook and stuff, the thing is certified nurse specialists can provide specialized care for a lower cost than a physician. So because of that, a lot of hospitals and institutions may prefer a CNS over an MD just in terms of like finances. So their average salary is around $106,000, working around 40 hours a week, making their hourly wage around $51. And then in terms of requirements, you need to get your Master's of Science in Nursing, and then you need to get some clinical certifications as well. So at our number 2 spot, we have your general nurse practitioner. As a general nurse practitioner, you can actually open your own private practice if you want, or you can work in a physician's office. Really, the opportunities to work for any of these jobs are endless. As a general nurse practitioner, you can choose to specialize if you want. You don't have to, but you can, and the offer is still up on the table. So they make around $107,000 a year. Again, working around $40 a week, you will make roughly $52 as your hourly wage. And nurse practitioner jobs are roughly estimated to grow about 26% between 2018 and 2028. In terms of education, so of course, we will assume that you already have your BSN, so you need to go get your Master's of Science in Nursing and then a licensing, obviously depending on where you're living. And number one, the highest paid nursing profession, what is it? Is your certified registered nurse anesthetist. I don't know how to pronounce anything, but these are your CRNAs for short. This is a very highly skilled profession. You help with preparing and administering anesthesia. Like, why do I not know how to pronounce any word? You help administer that to patients alongside dentists, surgeons, doctors. On average, CRNAs will make around $168,000 per year, but it can go as much as $230,000 a year. My mind is blown. You need to get a minimum of a master's degree from an accredited nurse anesthesia educational program, and then obviously upon completion you need to do a boards examination. The hourly wage, just because I've been saying it for everything else, is $81 an hour, y'all, and it can go up. Like I said, it can go up. Those are the top 15 highest paid nursing professions. I really hope this video came together somehow because it was a lot of information for me. I obviously didn't memorize it. I mean, I tried my best, but y'all know that wasn't the case. As I've mentioned in this video, everything is very subjective. It depends on where you work, your region, your hospital, so on and so forth. But these are obviously average numbers based off of studies and statistics. I've said this once and I'll say it again. I don't think you should go into nursing for the salary. Like, don't say you want to be a CRNA just because the money is amazing. Yes, the money is crazy, but do you have that desire in your heart? Do you want to help people because of the goodness of your heart and not because of the salary? Think of that before you really continue on with nursing education or before you start to pursue a career in nursing, because I feel like if you don't have that passion in your heart, you probably won't last in the nursing field for too long because it can be very exhausting, it can be a very demanding position, and it's just not made for everyone, and that's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I am so excited to post a bunch new content on my channel. I have so many ideas, I just need to get around to filming them. But that's all from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.